Hey guys, how's it going? I'm Jared and welcome back to Trash Classics. Now in my last video I compared the Elder Scrolls V to Dead Island to see how favoritism and fanboy rage affected Dead Island's release. For those of you who haven't watched it, I'll be building off of some of the points I made in it, so you can check it out right here if you want. For those of you who have seen my first analysis on the subject, this will be more of a return to form and an in-depth look at the game. And with that being said, let's get on with the show. So, zombie games, an overdone medium, admittedly. As one commenter put it, they're the new World War II shooters of the games industry. And it's true, zombies as they appear in video games have been done to death. No pun intended. For example, Left 4 Dead, Dead Rising, and Dead Space. These are just a couple of the games made this generation, and really good ones at that. But they all share one key problem. They're action games with zombie enemies. Most games featuring the undead tend to use zombies as a backdrop. Well, enter Dead Island, a game that really brings the zombie genre back to its survival horror roots. While it may not be one outright, Dead Island borrows a lot of features from survival horror titles responsible for gaming's obsession with zombies. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. In Dead Island, you play as one of four main characters, who are all on the resort island of Benoi for different reasons. After a night of sloppy drunkenness, you awake smack dab in the middle of a zombie apocalypse, and for some reason you're immune to the epidemic. This makes you very useful for the small pockets of survivors who have taken shelter across the island, and as you can imagine, this leads to hours upon hours of side quests. But your main goal is to escape the island, and of course, you'll probably spend most of your time avoiding these story missions, instead completing side missions for rewards of EXP, money, or schematics for more devastating weapons. While the story in Dead Island isn't exactly worthy of praise, it does set up a believable premise and a simple goal: survive. A deep and involving narrative with nods to an even more expansive lore would have done little to improve the experience here. Dead Island, like the Stalker series, focuses on crafting an interesting world that invites the player to explore it, and this is where the game shines. I found myself spending most of my playtime exploring the island and looking for uncharted areas. This exploration conjured up memories of playing old RPGs like Final Fantasy VII and scouring the world map looking for secrets. Now the combat in Dead Island is unfortunately a different story altogether. The term mixed bag comes to mind. Sometimes you'll find yourself enjoying the hell out of decapitating the dead and looting their severed torsos, but for every great experience, there's one frustrating one. And a lot of this has to do with your aiming reticle moving around seemingly under its own will. I assumed this was to auto-target specific limbs, but it ended up throwing my attacks off more often than not. This can be a little hard to get a hang of, but when you do, you'll still have to contend with a limiting point of view. While this sounds like a downside, I actually found it to reinforce the fun of the gameplay. Zombies can be pretty easy to take down on their own, but a group will be a problem for even veteran players. This is in part due to their tendency to surround you. Plenty of times I thought I had the situation under control until I heard that telltale snarl from behind. Going into a fight in Dead Island requires you to move fast and keep your eyes on every enemy. And of course another point of difficulty is the zombies leveling up with you, but this means you'll never be too overpowered for any one situation. I'll be honest, Dead Island's gameplay kinda leaves me puzzled, because it has no business being this good, especially considering how flawed it is. Getting over that learning curve can prove daunting at first, but when you do, you kinda settle into a groove with a combination of the game's controls, physics, and its gameplay. Now this isn't to say you aren't gonna fall under the heel of the game's flaws at any point. But the rare cheap death just made me want to tackle the situation again, this time with some righteous indignation. The fact of the matter is, the game's world was so fun to explore, and its overall experience so interesting, that I tolerated any flaws just to keep playing. And for those of you worried about the game's launch bugs, of which there were several, based on my current playthrough, I can assure you that all major bugs have been patched and updated away. But even if they hadn't been, I would still recommend you check Dead Island out. It's just one of those games I end up coming back to every 2 or 3 months, when I'm in the mood for a game that feels like Night of the Living Dead meets Dungeons & Dragons, when I get that itch for a living, breathing world that just begs to be explored, that desire for a game that can be found for $20 on Steam. As a game that satisfies all these desires, Dead Island is a gem to be found in the coal mine of modern gaming, and as such earns its spot as a trash classic. Hey everyone, thanks for watching another episode of Trash Classics. If you like the show, there's 2 more episodes here you can check out, and make sure to leave a comment letting me know what you think. Also, if you haven't yet, feel free to hit that subscribe button to stay updated on all my other shows. And if you want, you can find me on Facebook and Twitter. Well, I think I've about whored myself out enough today, so I'll see you guys later.